It's a different person, different name, different face, different city, maybe. You were sure this time would be different. And then, slowly, the same feeling creeps in. The same arguments, the same ache, the same way it falls apart. You look back at the people you've loved, and a pattern emerges that's almost embarrassing in how consistent it is. Different packaging, identical heartbreak. So what is going on? Are you cursed? Are you just unlucky? No. Your brain is doing exactly what it learned to do, and it learned it a very long time ago. To understand this, you have to understand one of the deepest forces in human psychology. We are drawn, powerfully and unconsciously, to what feels familiar. Not what feels good, not what's good for us, what feels familiar. The brain treats familiar as safe, as known, as home, even when home was a difficult place. And the blueprint for what feels like home in love gets drawn very early, long before you could choose it. When you were small, you learned what love felt like by living inside it. You watched how the people who raised you gave affection, or withheld it, whether comfort came reliably, or only sometimes, or came wrapped in tension, whether you had to earn attention, or perform for it, or brace against it. Your young brain soaked all of this up and built a model, a template of what closeness feels like. Psychologists call the result your attachment style, and it quietly runs in the background of every relationship you'll ever have. Here's the part that catches people. If love in your early life felt steady and warm, you tend to seek that out, and steadiness feels right to you. But if love came tangled with anxiety, with distance, with the constant question of whether you were truly wanted, then that tangle is what registers as love in your nervous system. And so, as an adult, when you meet someone calm and available and kind, something feels off, boring even, no spark. And when you meet someone who keeps you guessing, who's a little unavailable, who makes you work for their warmth, your whole body lights up. This is it. This is love. Except it isn't love. It's familiarity, wearing love's clothes. This is why the spark can be such a liar. That intense, magnetic pull you feel toward a certain kind of person is often not a sign of compatibility. It's a sign of recognition. Your brain is saying, this feeling, I know this feeling. This is what closeness is supposed to feel like. And if what you learned closeness should feel like was anxious or unpredictable, then the people who give you butterflies are precisely the people most likely to break your heart, because the butterflies are partly fear. There's a name psychologists sometimes use for the way we unconsciously recreate old emotional situations. We are pulled to replay the unfinished business of our past, to return to the same kind of person and the same kind of dynamic, almost as if some part of us is trying to go back and finally get it right, to win the love that was uncertain the first time, to make the unavailable person stay. It's not a conscious plan. It's a deep groove the mind keeps sliding into, hoping for a different ending, getting the same one. And it gets reinforced every time, because when you pick the familiar painful type and it goes wrong in the familiar painful way, your brain doesn't conclude, I should choose differently. It concludes, see, this is just what love is. Love is longing. Love is anxiety. Love is not being sure. The pattern confirms itself, deepening the groove, making the next familiar choice feel even more inevitable. You're not learning the lesson, you're rehearsing the wound. There's another quiet force at work too. We're often drawn to people who feel like a project, who carry the same struggles we grew up around, because fixing them feels like fixing the original thing we couldn't fix as a child. If you grew up trying to manage a parent's moods, you may find yourself, again and again, falling for moody people you can manage. If you grew up earning love through usefulness, you may keep choosing people who need rescuing, because being needed feels like being loved. The role you played as a child becomes the role you reach for in romance, because it's the only script you know by heart. So how do you break a pattern this deep one that was written before you could even speak. The first step is the hardest and the most powerful. You have to see it. You have to look honestly at the people you've chosen and ask, what did they have in common? Not on the surface, underneath. What feeling did they all give me, especially at the beginning? Was it ease, or was it a kind of anxious hunger? Because if the through line is anxiety dressed up as passion, then your spark detector is calibrated to your old wound, and it cannot be trusted on its own. The second step is learning to sit with the discomfort of the right kind of person. This is the strange, unglamorous truth almost nobody tells you. When you first meet someone genuinely healthy for you, it may feel underwhelming, calm, a little flat. No drama, no chase, no agony. Your brain, trained on chaos, reads calm as the absence of love. The work is to stay long enough to learn a new feeling, to teach your nervous system that steady can be exciting, that being chosen clearly and consistently is not boring, it's just unfamiliar. And unfamiliar is not the same as wrong. It helps enormously to understand your own attachment style, to know the specific shape of the template you inherited, because once you can name it, you can catch it in the act. You can feel the pull toward the unavailable person and recognize it for what it is, not destiny, not true love, just an old groove, an echo of something from long ago. Naming it doesn't kill the pull, but it loosens its authority over you. You stop mistaking the feeling for a fact. It's worth saying clearly that none of this is about blaming the people who raised you, and it's certainly not about blaming yourself. The template you inherited was built by a young brain doing its best to make sense of love with the only examples it had. No one chooses their attachment style. You absorbed it the way you absorbed your first language, without consent and without awareness. So there's no shame in carrying a pattern. The shame would only be in seeing it clearly and refusing to do anything about it. Awareness is the whole turning point. The unconscious pattern runs you. The conscious one, you can finally start to steer. And steering it is genuinely possible, which is the hopeful core of all this. Attachment styles are not life sentences. People move, over time, with effort, sometimes with the help of a good relationship or a good therapist, from anxious to secure, from avoidant to open. The groove is deep, but grooves can be slowly recut by new experiences, by choosing differently again and again, until the new choice starts to feel less foreign. Every time you stay with the calm, kind, available person long enough to feel safe with them, you lay down a little new wiring. The map redraws itself one healthy choice at a time. So the next time you find yourself falling hard and fast for someone who feels thrillingly familiar, pause and get curious instead of swept away. Ask whether that electric pull is recognition rather than rightness. Ask whether your body is responding to love or to a wound it's trying to heal by repeating it. You are not cursed, and you are not doomed to the same heartbreak forever. You're following a map drawn in childhood by a hand that wasn't yours. The map is old, and you're allowed to redraw it. The first relationship that feels suspiciously calm might not be a lack of love. It might be the first time love has actually felt safe.